Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4Player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast, episode 737. It's November 17th, 2022. I'm your host tonight, Nick Henderson, and I am joined tonight by Brad Simons.
Hello.
Who has no energy. Hello, Brad. Nolan is also joining us.
Hey, yo, it's me, your boy Nolan, here to talk about video games.
See, that's all I need right there. Crispy is also here. Hello, Crispy.
Hello.
Okay.
I have nothing else to add to that.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry.
Fuck it.
I want to know what morning radio shows Nick's listening to all the time.
I don't listen to the
we
radio.
Need little, like symbols and shit.
No, I listen to other podcasts, and I just hear everybody has a bit. I don't know.
No, yeah, they don't have a bit.
Sometimes they do. I listen to a lot of Easy Allies lately. They usually they'll be like Brad, and they'll be like fish tacos, and they're like, I don't know what that means, and then they start a conversation. I don't know. I don't fucking know. But it would, next week, let's try it. I'll say your name, and you just say the first word that pops into your mind. I don't even know that's maybe not a good idea.
It might be a little dangerous.
There's a thing on Easy Allies where at the beginning of one segment, somebody plays like a jingle on like a I don't know, like a toy or something, and then they say the name of at the end of the jingle, they say the name of the segment in sync together, like they harmonize or something.
Yeah,
and I'm like, wow. This is stupid.
We used to have the little community jingle I used to do back in the day.
Well, how'd it go, Nolan? Do you remember?
It's the community. It's a community.
Was it. That was the extent of.
I know.
Yeah. What if we try to do that and we harmonize? Sorry, we're going off on a tangent here. Chris Davis is also joining us. Hello, Chris Davis.
Yeah, here. Hello.
Sorry, don't worry. I didn't forget you. We're gonna get to you.
I think I know what we need. We need some hibbity bibbity. No.
Well, the magic of Hibbity Bibbity is that we had Mike on guitar.
Yeah, we
like if it's just me mumbling into a microphone, like what the fuck is that?
You gotta have instrumental accompaniment.
Sometimes.
And then remember, I did another one during the 300th, 400th show, and it sucked, and it fucking sucked.
Well.
We'll never recapture that moment.
Lightning in a bottle.
Lightning in a bottle, and
like that first Ghostbusters movie. Just never gonna get back there.
But goddamn, we're gonna try. Hey, you know what? Yeah, I feel like maybe it's an interesting thing to start with tonight because first of all, we got a big show, a lot of impressions, not a ton of news that we're gonna go into, but we're gonna talk a lot about some big games. Last week we did a top 3. We did our top 3 forever wishlisted games. Go check that out if you haven't already. Fun conversation. We even made it a little interesting. We committed to buying one of the games on our list before the end of the show. So
who followed through on that, by the way?
I followed through.
Pretty sure. I bought it during the show.
Yeah, I followed through, and then the game that I bought went on sale like 2 days later. Not by much, but it was still enough to make me go fuck. Okay. But anyways, yeah, check that out. It's out. You can find it on 4playernetwork.com. You can find it on all the podcast services, all that good stuff. Fun time. But yeah, it's been 2 weeks since our last regular show. And in that time, a little game called God of War Ragnarok dropped. So I think all of us are playing that, I think. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Plus Somerville. I played all the way through that game last night. We're going to talk about Tactics Ogre Reborn. And a game that I can't remember the name of because it has a weird one, and Brad played it, and it's... Come on, Brad, help me out here.
I'm gonna wait till
Libra.
I'm gonna wait to look at what it says on the overlay.
I got the name on the overlay correct, but we'll see how that goes. But anyways, yeah, we got lots to talk about. But I figured there's some interesting stuff happening in the world right now of social media. I just thought it'd be interesting to maybe open. Twitter might not be a thing by the time this podcast
It's-
finishes recording.
Dude,
It's almost
look
fitting
at-
that it's podcast number 737 and we're watching something go down in flames.
Look at
Oh,
the
what the
trending
fuck?
topics.
That was dark, Chris.
Yes, it was.
Holy
Also,
holy
the demise of
shit.
Twitter is also dark.
Yes. But yeah.
I heard Jimmy Fallon died.
Yeah, right? That's crazy.
That was entertaining.
Oh my God! By the way, Jimmy
That's
Fallon obviously
pretty
did not
weird
die.
to
We're
say.
not laughing at someone's actual demise. That's just one of the fucked up things that's spreading around Twitter right now as it goes down in flames.
I think laughing at Jimmy Fallon is probably the nicest thing we could do if he died.
I was laughing at Jimmy Fallon. I was saying laughing at Jimmy Fallon's death, which would be a very different thing. I feel like.
Yeah.
Shut up! Don't say it, Crispy. Don't say it. But Twitter is currently on fire. Elon Musk sent an email to his entire company on was it Monday or Tuesday saying that if you haven't committed by like checking a box in like a form that you are committed to being how did he put it? Extremely hardcore?
Yeah,
Yes.
something like that.
Something like that. Then you can basically leave and get 3 months of severance pay. And apparently large percentages of people at Twitter are taking that severance pay. And yeah, I don't know. I just pour one out for Twitter or something. I don't know what's going on. It's made me really regret the fact that we've been leaning on Twitter for so heavy for so long to promote our show. We might be looking to expand beyond that here pretty soon. We might have to. But yeah, is anybody here gonna miss Twitter if it goes down?
Yes.
How about we
dude, for
start
sure.
OnlyFans?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first of all,
Patreon. So
not a bad idea. 2, that joke's been made before. Usually with better delivery, but
Got him.
yeah. Anyways, moment of silence for Twitter, I guess.
and
No,
for
but
anyone
yeah.
who's thinking
You said
about it,
moment of
and never
silence.
listened-
I want it to happen.
All right.
10 seconds, y'all.
we don't actually have to do 10 seconds. Nick can just
I-
insert the 10 seconds.
Nope. Start over.
I don't think I was not actually counting. Did we make it?
It's good
Did we
enough.
get there? All right, it's close enough. Anyways, yeah, so that's an interesting thing that's happening right now. Stay tuned. I just want to put this out there. If you happen to be one of the probably a few people that listens to this show purely because you see it pop up on your Twitter feed, I don't think a lot of people find us that way. But if that sounds like you, now would be a great time to jump into our Discord at discord.gg/4player because that's where the community's at. That's where we are at, and that's where you will always find all of our podcasts, all of our information. You'll know what's going on with us at all times if you're in our Discord. Twitter be damned.
And for anybody that's wondering why you're listening to this, we haven't at the time of recording, we haven't decided on where we're going to go. We will always keep our Discord open. You're welcome to join that at discord.gg/4player. But we're looking at our
But-
options.
What
We are
happens if
looking-
Prince Andrew takes over Discord?
Don't say that, Nolan. Somebody said that it's just a matter of time before some other asshole buys up Discord. I'm like, don't fucking say that. Discord means so much to this community. I would be so devastated. I could kind of not give a shit about Twitter, but Discord means the world to this community. I feel like so. Let's not go there. Anyways, let's move on. We got a lot of ground to cover tonight, and of course, I think it's a good idea to probably open with the big game that we're all playing because it's kind of one of the biggest releases of the season, God of War Ragnarok. And I don't know where we want to start with this game. I guess for one, where is everybody in this game? Has anybody here finished it? I'm gonna guess Chris
hold
Davis.
on. Before you start, I have a question. I have a question to set this up. Where?
Okay.
Because Malia asked this of me when we were playing it, and I was like, you know what? I don't have an answer to that question. And she said, "Where are they?" And that's a good question because I asked her first, if Kratos just wants to like live in a fucking cabin in the woods with his son or whatever, why doesn't he just like not be right next to all these Norse gods, as his living, arrangement? And like, why doesn't he just go somewhere, maybe somewhere warm, right? And then she's like, but yeah, but like, where is this? Because there's all these like realms and stuff. And I'm like, he can't just go back to like Athens or whatever, right? Are
part
she
of
in
the-
Europe?
Part
Is
of
he
Are
in
you
this,
basically-
Scandinavia? Where is Kratos?
He's in Midgard in the beginning, which
Midgard.
is just Earth.
Okay.
So he
that's,
is in Scandinavia.
somewhere?
Yeah, and there's like
Yeah.
humans and stuff who hang around.
Okay. So why doesn't he
I
just
think-
go to another place in Europe to live in the woods and not around angry Scandinavian gods?
The gods don't live near him. They went to him. It's like he's not like next door neighbors with Odin. That's not how that works.
Well, he seemed like he was living pretty close to that bird that was
They
mad
like-
at him.
They go out hunting and run into Freya.
Yeah.
And
Now
then Freya wants
I'm-
to like chase them and kill them.
I'm fairly certain Freya is around because she is waiting
Hunting
to
him.
ambush
Yeah,
him.
but okay,
Yeah.
so then does that mean
So
like
leave
it
normal.
doesn't matter because they just like even if they like move to China, then Freya will be there. Like
No,
Well,
no, he's
no.
right.
I
They
think
just
the
they just
idea.
they just catch an early flight the next day and they can be out of there. It's simple.
I do think
I
the
mean,
idea
how is
being
it-
that
how is it any different than him coming from Greece?
this is a fascinating place to start this conversation. But I do I do think the idea being that like in this fantastical world that they live in, like pretty much no matter where he went, there would be gods of some sort. I mean,
There's
right?
mythology
there
all over the world.
There's gods and mythology everywhere,
He
no
just
matter where
needs
you
to
go.
go wherever Jesus is.
Yeah. Or maybe to Egypt or someplace like
There are
more
Egypt's
interesting.
like-
Okay, Brad is
Uh,
already trying to lean this conversation towards where's a more interesting mythology than Norse
Dude,
mythology.
also,
And
Brad
not
was
here
the
for
kid
it.
who was really into Egyptology in elementary school, huh? Like, Brad likes Egypt.
I love Egypt.
I mean,
But
Egyptian gods and stuff are pretty cool.
to provide a
Well,
legitimate
Oh yeah,
answer.
who's your favorite Egyptian god?
He's gonna say Osiris.
Yeah. Damn it.
Don't say one. Don't throw one out
But
there.
I
for
mean,
him.
like they
The
look
only one
cool.
everybody knows,
Anubis,
right?
I know more
Ra?
than Osiris.
Anubis. You're
Heror?
right.
Yeah.
Okay, you're fine. Fuck all of you. Okay.
To, to provide
Can
a
we talk-
legitimate answer to Brad's question.
I-
The reason why he stays in Midgard is because at the very beginning of 2018 God of War, his wife has literally just died. So the whole game is about him
Spoilers.
mourning his wife and transporting her ashes to her final wishes.
Yeah,
And
but then he does that.
He meets
Yes,
his
and he
wife
does
and settles
that.
down with his wife. So
And
like,
he
and
had
it's been an
settled down,
indeterminate.
and Fimbulwinter hits, which is like the end of the world winter that is going to blanket Midgard forever.
So
Winter has
Christy
come.
said there's people. He said there's people. I was kind of wondering like about like people, right? Because he wants to live in this house, and at the beginning of the game, Thor comes and like makes a big hole in his roof, right? Does he like hire someone to fix that hole in his roof?
I'm pretty sure he can
He
fix the hole in his roof.
So.
Oh, he really can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad, you are only asking this question because you're basically saying under your breath he can go anywhere and he picks
Okay,
here.
but also think about this, like because they're all like the bit of land that they live on is protected by Norse magic. Like they
Staves.
have those
Mhm,
protection staves that they keep putting up. Do those only work like in
Against Norse gods.
in Norse countries? Like,
Well, no,
do those
it's-
only work in Scandinavia?
It's giant magic that was set up by Faye, his former wife, to
Right.
protect
This
their
footage is
sanctuary.
gonna
No,
loop
but what I'm
before we even
saying
talk
is,
about the game.
what I'm saying is,
How
all
long
it
is the
is
footage?
like a spell that
20
they put
minutes.
on a tree. If they go to like Africa and find a tree and put a spell on it, does it do the same thing?
Yes.
No.
Yes, I
Well, then why are they in Scandinavia?
Crispy, I can tell you the exact reason. Because when you look at the God of War Ragnarok script, it says they are in Scandinavia. So
Yeah, I
that's-
know, but
that's
like
correct.
that's not a good answer.
this motherfucker derailed this conversation before it ever started.
That's
This
why I wanted
footage
to
is
be
gonna
Brad in the first place.
this footage is gonna loop before we've even talked about the game itself. So what else do you want to get off your chest, Brad?
Oh, well, maybe you should have got more than 20 minutes. You know we're going to be talking about
No, let me tell you what.
45 minutes.
I recorded 20 minutes of footage because this is a very easy game to spoil. And there was something happening in this footage. There's that if I had gone a little farther or done, actually, I know because I played a little bit beyond recording this footage. If I had done something, it would have revealed something about what you're watching here that would have spoiled this, and it would have just been like, okay, whatever. So I actually managed. It's a miracle that I caught this like 20 minutes of footage that is basically spoiler free for the most part. It doesn't give away anything that's happening in the story. So be thankful. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a very easy game to spoil because it is like God of War 2018. It's very story heavy. It's very character driven, and every hour or so there is something that happens that I would probably not want spoiled for me while watching or listening to a podcast. So, hence the footage is 20 minutes long.
But in an effort to move this on, do y'all like the boss fights?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Oh,
Okay,
I've only done one. I think. I don't
which
know.
one did you do?
I don't know. What's the first one?
Thor.
Thor.
Yeah,
Oh,
Thor.
then
And
I've
that was
done
a
two
badass
because there's
fight.
Thor and then there's a centaur that you have to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
No,
So-
those weren't fun.
No, I
Dude,
don't
the
like
Thor
boss
fight
fights.
was so good.
I
No,
mean,
oh
it
my
was.
looks cool, but it's
it
just like
looks cool, but it's
aggressive,
not
like circles
fun.
coming at you. Yellow, red, dodge, and it's like
You're literally describing a video
I
game.
don't-
Like
I
that
don't
is
have
like
fun. Well, I mean, I've played video games that are more fun. It's yeah, I don't know. Like it looks
Motherfucker.
nice. It
What
seems
is
well
with you?
made. The axe feels good. I don't have a lot of fun with the boss fights. I have a little more fun with regular fights, but the boss fights are like these one-on-one affairs where it's just like they're very aggressive and in your face, and you're just constantly like dodging and shit. And I'm like, they got so many fucking health bars. And I know it's supposed to look like fancy and cool, but I just don't have a lot of fun with them. I don't
Well,
know.
are
I was
you
just
taking
curious what your
advantage of
thoughts were.
Atreus and his abilities?
First of all, can we go back to the original question I had before we even started this?
Sure.
Before it was
Which
derailed,
is?
which is how far is everybody in this game? Well, Crispy
Hard
just said
to
he's only
say.
done 2 boss fights
No, but I've
So far.
played a lot more after that.
Okay.
Well, not a lot more. Actually, I don't know. There was one night where I booted this game up 3 times and turned it off because I was like, I can't do this. But that I'm just in a weird spot right now, I think.
I was just in a canoe.
I was in a canoe exploring a lake area in the dwarf realm. So
In the
like
Dwarven realm, yeah.
I just met
How do you pronounce that
Derlin
realm?
Svartalheim.
Svartalheim?
Yeah, the realm of the dwarves. Yeah.
Derlin. I found a dwarf named which
Derlin, yeah.
come on.
Yeah, I met that guy.
Yeah, he's a
on.
jerk.
Derlin. You just took
So-
Derlin and put an L in it. I love it.
Nolan, what about you? Where are you at in this game?
I'm around that same area, yes. I think it's also one of those things where the way I tend to play these games is I like to explore, and so I'm not exactly going through it at a pace akin to Sonic. I'm definitely taking my time and exploring areas and stuff. So,
Right, yeah, and it's easy to spend a lot of time exploring in this game, which is it's kind of surprising because it is a game that I think is pretty linear. I mean, I think it's more open than God of War 2018, but you spend a lot of time in this game in areas that are, I would describe as linear, not open.
I think they
but
also
still
try to do a little bit of like kind of gatekeeping in the sense that it's like, oh, you can't enter this area until you have this item kind of type deal.
Right. So I am kind of waiting. I feel like there is a moment coming that I think it's probably going to be much later in the game where it's going to be like, okay, now you can kind of go anywhere you want and do whatever you want because you have all the tools at your disposal, but you have to go through a lot of story and a lot of linear areas before you get to that point. Chris Davis, how far are you? Did you finish it?
No, I have not. I am 32 hours in.
I always expect Chris Davis to be like, I finished it last week.
No, I'm not. I'm not Prince of the Universe. I'm 32 hours in, and for fully picturing what that number means, I maximize exploration areas to the best of my ability and the tools I have available before I move on to linear segments of the story. I'm in the game has just basically opened up like a third brand new area that's large and big to explore for me.
I think so. I think I've only been in 2 areas that I would describe as large and open. One of which
What
being
is
that
the
lake.
first one?
The first one would be the lake, I think, and then
Where is the lake?
The Lake of the
Svartalheim,
Nine.
right?
Svartalheim.
Svartalheim. What the fuck is that?
It's the
The dwarven place. We've just been talking about this, Brad.
Okay, I was in a canoe in that place, but it wasn't very open. It was still linear.
It's pretty open. I mean, it's bigger. I think it's bigger than the main hub area in the first game.
Okay,
I
so
think
I
Brad
must
just
not
wants a
have
big
gotten to
empty
the
lake.
part. I must not have gone to the part where it opens up.
Yeah, there is a part where you're kind of going down like a path, and then it
okay,
opens
okay.
up into a big giant lake.
You go into the
And-
town, do some stuff, and then you talk to Derlin, and then you go to the
I
lake.
guess that's a good
area.
question.
Gotcha,
Brad, have you been to the town and met Derlin yet?
I have.
Okay,
So
But I
you
haven't gone much beyond that.
There's
side quests.
there's a few puzzles, and then you get to the lake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
puzzles,
the
huh?
way
Yeah.
this game is structured is that it leapfrogs how it offers you gameplay experiences. So you'll go through hours of linear quest lines for the main story, and then it will give you times in which you can go explore large open areas with new abilities and things like that.
It's kind okay. So, and this is maybe a good point to bring up because I know it's going to come up. It is very similar in structure to God of War 2018.
Yes,
but bigger. Because that's what God of War 2018 was. You know, it's a big hub area surrounded by a bunch of linear areas. It's like a wagon wheel effect. But I wouldn't say this is a wagon wheel, but you are going to pretty much all 9 realms, which is something you couldn't do in the first game. But most of those areas are pretty linear. But most of them also have, or maybe not most of them, but quite a few of them also have like big open spaces you can explore as well. But you have to go through lots of story narrative and linear story progression before you get to those moments.
but
yeah,
a lot of those areas are locked behind the tools you get and upgrade over time.
Right, and you can easily it's pretty easy to recognize that I don't have what I need, so I'm going to come back here, and it does a pretty good job on the map of like keeping track of like places you couldn't go before and stuff. So like I know there's going to be a point I'm going to hit in this game where it's going to be like, okay, I could progress the story, or I could go back and just clean up everything now that I have it. And
I think they try to do like also while you're exploring, at least in that first area they did, because I'm not 32 hours in, but they try to use Mimir and Atreus to be like, oh, we could go and meet Derlin, or we could go investigate this thing over here. They kind of try to let you know that, hey, and, the problem I often have with games like this is I don't know what to do, and I want to make sure I'm kind of doing the thing I'm not supposed to be doing. Does that make sense? Like I want to do the side quest first, and so the game's like, "Hey, by the way, we can progress the story or go this way," but they do it in a a more intuitive way.
Have you popped into the accessibility options? Because man, that's the best trend in like Sony
for sure.
games. Is that they have like a bounty of accessibility options, and some of those are really good. And one of them is if you click the right stick, it'll like swing the camera in the direction of like the main quest or whatever. So
I didn't know that
you
one.
like avoid. They also have one that like you can turn on and like Kratos will instantly start running instead of like you could even turn on like how much he walks before he starts running, but you can make that 0 so he's like always sprinting. And there's auto pickup.
Those are very
so
helpful.
He automatically picks up shit, and you can even choose like the variation of that. But one of the best ones you could turn on is sort of like auto interact with the environment. So all like the climbing and like the crawling between cracks and the jumping from one ledge to another, you can make all that automatic. And turning all that stuff on makes the game feel like way snappier.
Does it also make the game feel more like automated? Like I considered turning some of those things on. I did turn a few of them on.
Oh,
but I didn't turn on.
Definitely turn them on. I mean, what fucking satisfaction are you getting out of pressing circle before he slowly climbs up a ledge? I mean,
I was wondering about that because I turned on the auto pickup one, but I turned it back off because
why?
Because it's not even like an automatic pickup. It's like it'll just start the animation for you. I hate
there's different settings.
I hate that he'll be walking. Yeah, but it's like the settings are based on what he picks up, not how he does it.
Yeah.
So like he'll be walking around and then all of a sudden just like stop, stoop over, pick something up, stop, stoop over, pick, and it's just like I hate it.
He doesn't really like slow down much though. I mean, it's not like Last of Us 2 where it was like really good, but I like it because he'll automatically pick up, stomp on like the green shit in combat, and because the camera is so like.
Problem is he does that when he doesn't
sometimes.
need to.
I hate when I'm in a boss fight and I'm trying to run over to the green thing and I'm like trying to line up the stupid like camera and I'm sprinting in the wrong direction. I'm like, no, just get to the green dot before I
Nick,
die.
he does not pick up health when his health is full. He only picks it up when you're hurt.
But he'll pick it up when it's like 98%, and I'm
Sure.
like, I'm gonna like try and save it until I
When
really
is your
need
health
it.
ever
But if I go,
98% though? It's either like 30% or full in this game.
I don't think that's really been my experience. But hey, whatever.
You strategically picking up the green shit. Don't be honest with me.
No. I mean, I left it on because whatever. I'm doing fine with it. But it does annoy me sometimes when I'm like, I think to myself, I'm gonna save that. I've made a mental note. There's a green orb over there, so when I need it, I'll go for it.
The game is smarter than
sometimes
that. The green shit appears when you need it. It's like a dynamic.
Well, you eventually unlock the ability to top. Your rage meter can be like, instead of boosting damage, it can do like an instant heal. So like sometimes I don't feel like I need the green orb. I can rely on my rage meter to like keep my health kind of up at good levels. So like I'm saving the orb for like a rainy day, like when I run and I have no rage meter and I'm dying, like I'm gonna go grab it. But then sometimes I get into a corner and I step on it and I'm like, fuck.
Just don't die.
Yeah, thanks. I'll get on that.
I sort of wish the camera wasn't so locked to his back, which is why I find myself being kind of like awkward in combat.
Do you want this to be God of War on the PSP? Is that what you're wanting?
I think the camera is something. The camera is something that they established with God of War 2018 that I think everybody really, really liked. I mean, and albeit I do. There is a conversation to be had about how similar this game is to the first game. No doubt, it is. It is absolutely more of the same.
Don't force that.
What do you?
We're not saying that.
No, what do you? When you say the camera from 2018 is what everybody liked, are you talking about the gameplay camera, like the controlling the camera, or are you talking about the way that cutscenes and whatever blend in without any cuts?
I'm just talking about the general positioning of the camera. I mean, like to me, I thought everybody always liked that. Like,
I thought everyone. I don't know.
Maybe I'm just speaking for myself
because he feels so rigid. He can't just like quickly move to the side because he has to slowly like strafe to the side because the camera's like locked behind him. You know what I mean? Like
I'm speaking for myself, I guess, but like I really like the way Kratos feels to control, and I've always felt that way.
I mean, like the axe is cool and stuff. I mean, I'm not saying
I'm not talking about
dog shit or anything. I'm talking
about the way
I find myself, especially in these boss fights where they're aggressive and in your face, and I just want to move to the side a little bit. But Kratos is he moves kind of clunky. And a lot of it's because what am I watching? This looks crazy.
It looks sick.
Yeah,
hey, I would actually want to turn on this game if I saw some shit like this. There are like stretches of this game that are like pretty fucking boring.
This boss fight's so good. I stayed on and finished it after I didn't finish it in this footage.
This is cool.
And I can promise you, there's much better boss fights than this.
Is that like?
I'm sure it's not fun to play, but it looks cool.
Is he like coming through from like the Yggdrasil realm or whatever?
He's coming through it. He's coming through like a warp gate, and he can actually attack you by setting up warp portals and like shooting things through them, so that things are coming from like angles.
Dragon Ball Z movie.
It's a cool fight. But this is like I stopped recording here because I was like, I know if I finish this fight, it's gonna be spoilery, and I totally called it. Well, I mean, yes, the most spoilery thing in my footage is the fact that this boss fight exists. So I'm sorry, but also, this is the kind of shit I always hear Brad talking about wanting more of because this is this to me is very reminiscent of God of War, like of old. Just the kind of boss fights that you're like. This seems very.
I mean that last game had like really boring fucking enemies and bosses. I mean, this already looks more exciting than most of the shit from that game. So,
I don't know. I mean, you're talking to someone like I spent like hours and hours and hours fighting all the Valkyries, and I fucking loved it. So like,
sure, we're not here to. I mean, sure. You had the things you love, and I had the things I didn't love. That's fine. I mean,
and to treat the hostile or the witness as hostile.
Yeah, absolutely.
Granted.
So I don't know. Where do you want to go from here? I mean, there is a lot to talk about with this game, and I don't know the answers to all these questions. Like, I'm sitting here at this point, like, I really enjoyed the combat in 2018. This is more of that, and I'm sitting here asking myself, this is really cool and all, but like I'm still using the same weapons I played with in 2018. I'm going to
he needs a new
assume
fucking weapon.
I'm going to assume there are additional weapons that I eventually get. Chris
Dude.
Davis is making a face, so I'm going to assume I'm correct.
I heard he gets a gun.
I mean,
not a
sure,
gun, but what
Kratos with a Glock.
No. Look, Chris Davis, I'm stopping you right there. I don't want to know what he gets. I just want to know that he gets something.
Okay, but
he
it's
does
gonna be
get
like,
something, and it's pretty cool.
It's gonna be like a sword or another axe or a hammer or what if it was a hammer? That'd be cool. Or like a spear or like maybe he can throw his Captain America shield.
Well, I tell you what, he does get a weapon that I can. It's not a spoiler in me telling you what it is.
You motherfucker! I
no,
swear
hang
to God,
on.
You're gonna...
Trust me. Your weapon
If you
is
spoil
actually
this shit for me, Chris Davis, I'm gonna boot you off of this call.
My mouse is hovering over disconnect from call.
Your partner, your son in the game is a weapon.
Okay,
and
yes,
he's really useful this time around because
he shoots arrows. Yeah, we played.
No,
it's much more complicated than that this time around. Because he now has his own skill tree with various different aggressive abilities that you can control, but also he will actually aggro the enemy and set you up for special attacks. Like Atreus is actually really useful in this game this time.
Okay,
isn't there like a lot of companions now that have like skill trees and stuff? I feel like I've heard that on various.
Does he transform into a sentient weapon?
Don't you fucking answer that question, Chris Davis. I know the answer to that question, but don't answer it. Let me just say this.
Well, if there's an answer to that question, then it's yes, right?
No, not really. I mean, no, it's not a simple yes or no answer to that question.
Can we spoil that early game thing?
What early?
It's so early. The thing that's going on with with the characters.
Bear.
With the
bear. Yeah, are we able to talk about the bear?
The problem is, Brad, I don't know where that goes. So I mean, like,
I also want people to know. I also want people like that moment in the story when that reveal happened was very interesting, and it shocked me, and I would not want to spoil that for other people.
I would say it's a fairly important part of the narrative for a particular character.
It is definitely an important part of the narrative. We're talking about the bear. You fight the bear in the woods in the beginning, Crispy.
Crispy, does a bear shit in the woods? And if so, does you hear it? Can you hear when bears shit in the woods?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, the bear.
Guys,
you fight a bear.
Some of these, are we struggling?
I just remembered. Okay, I'm sorry. I just remembered. You're right. Don't mind me.
So here's what I'll say, Nick. I don't know how many hours I am in this game yet. I'm enjoying it. The thing is, I'm coming from a place of I really enjoyed God of War 2018. Mm-hmm. So far, yes, this is more of God of War 2018. Why would I complain about that? I am enjoying the story so far. I'm enjoying the humor, the banter between the characters. I really like Odin so far and the interactions I've had with him. I liked Thor.
Richard Schiff is really good.
Which I did not realize it was Richard Schiff, and the door opens, and I'm like, that can't be Richard Schiff.
Wait,
and then he starts talking, and it's Richard Schiff.
I've seen one scene with him so far, and why does he talk like that?
Because he's Richard Schiff.
That's it. He only does one character.
Yeah. But like I said,
you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I know. I've been enjoying it so far. I don't have enough to talk about it, Nick. The upgrade system is the same. It's very similar to the last game.
Well, let me say this. Because this is a point that Chris Davis is trying to drive home, and I do think he's right. I want to be careful with how we talk about it. But it is a big difference between God of War 2018 and this. Is Atreus does feel like much more of a thing in this game, and when you first start to play with him as kind of a companion character, they give him a little tiny skill tree. It's like literally like 4 things. Mm-hmm. And as the game progresses, things start to happen in the story. That skill tree starts to grow and grow and grow. And by the time, it eventually, this is hard to talk about without spoiling it because things happen. But like his ability to participate in combat becomes a much bigger thing. It takes a much bigger role than it ever did in God of War 2018. And I don't know anything about how this game ends. All I know is that Sony Santa Monica has already kind of said that Ragnarok closes out this Norse chapter of God of War. So the assumption is if they're going to continue the series, it's going to go some other direction. And I'm
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I don't remember if it was a thing in God of War 2018, but in this one, the more you use an ability, it levels up in its effectiveness. Was that a thing in 2018? Is that what happens in this game?
Kind of, yes. So with skills that you purchase, a good number of them, they have
not even skills that you purchase, like your original skills that you start with.
Well,
they have like levels. I'm not talking about upgrades, Nick. I'm not talking about upgrades. I'm not talking about money. You have a skill. Throw your axe. The more you throw your axe, its strength increases.
That's not quite how it worked in the first game. No.
Okay, that's what I was asking, and that's how it is in this game, and I like that. I like that concept because it encourages you. Because here's the problem that I have with God of War 2018, and I'm kind of having with this, but I'm starting to understand it. Is the problem is there's too many skills. There's not swing your axe and do this. It's like, oh, when you do this and you hold this down and then you dodge and you do this at the same time, a skill will happen. And the problem is I forget a lot of that. And so I think the menu that shows the skill tree. Well, yeah, but I think the menu that shows that skill tree and says, hey, you've only done this move 3 times. Like, why have I only done that 3 times? Maybe I should think about this more when I'm in combat, and it will remind me that ability is there. And so I will use it then. And so I like that game has that concept, so it encourages you to use your different skills.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like you were alluding, is that it has a quota count for usage of that particular skill. And if you hit the maximum marker of it, depending on what the skill is, you can unlock an additional bonus to apply to using that skill. And it varies between them. Like you could apply extra stun damage, extra base damage, provide extra stun protection for yourself while you're using that move, things like that. So it really does encourage you to figure out and learn your own play style. And then when you're settled into something, you can enhance it to play even better.
A cool system, but this is also kind of leads to another thing that's worth pointing out, and I know Brad has struggled with this, and I totally agree with him. The UI in this game is kind of a mess.
Oh my god, they need to fire that guy. One of the things
let's not say shit like that. Come on.
Yeah.
No, but one of the things I disliked about that first one is like, they have this beautiful game. It's like, oh, it's all one shot, and that's great. But then you go to this menu and you're just looking at it and you're like, what is this? Like, this is not made by someone who knows what they're doing. And then the second one, I'm like, oh, well, maybe this is one of the things they fixed. And I open up the menu, I'm like, I'm just staring at this thing, and I'm a menu kind of guy. I get menus. I like being in menus, and I'm like, I think they just wanted to make this pretty, and they never tried to make it like functional or like readable. It reminded me a lot of like the Skyrim UI. Like they thought it was all like innovative and stuff, but I'm like, no, you just made something that looked different and nice, but this is not a good menu system. And this is what that reminds me of, because I'm so confused when I look at it. And I've beaten Vagrant Story. I should not be confused when I look at a fucking menu, and I'm so confused. I don't know what I'm selecting half the time. I don't know what I'm on. Everything's so big in weird ways or small in weird ways. This
is why I didn't realize, like, that thing that Nolan was just talking about, or that Chris Davis was alluding to, where you can kind of append additional bonuses to his skills. Because I'm struggling to kind of grasp the menu when I'm looking at it because it's so just busy. That thing seemed so random to me. I was like, why am I suddenly able to attach this thing to this skill? And now it makes sense. It's because I've been using that particular skill enough to unlock that perk, but I didn't know that because I look at these menus and I'm just like overwhelmed by like kind of how busy and hard to read they are. So I'm glad you said that. I feel like I learned something. That is easily one of the weakest parts of this game from a design standpoint. I think it was
one of the weakest parts of the last game too, and I liked that last game, but man, I hated that.
The
I
menus
hated that.
and the
Because
UI
they put a lot of
are
effort into like, oh, you can like make fucking builds and shit in this. Like, there's a lot of systems, and like they drop the ball because when you go to the menu, I don't even know what I have selected half the time. It's just it's not good. It's like it's weirdly not good for a prestige polished 60 FPS 4K we could be on HBO game. Like this is
They eventually
expensive
will
and
be.
fancy and like hire a better UI guy because 2 games in a row or gal I don't know who did it or what team they're
I'm sure
bad
it's
at
probably a
this
team.
and obviously the same person did this game as the last one. That's clear. We know that from just looking at it.
I'm sure
And
it's
it's
probably just
time.
based on the same
What
system.
the
What's up,
menus.
Crispy?
The menus in the UI are almost as bad as Elden Rings.
Dang. Elden Rings wasn't great either. I mean, I feel like
I
a
mean,
good
there
really
No, that
are
was a joke. That
UIs
was a
that
joke.
are like that
That
are
was a joke.
like
Elden Rings was better.
clunky or like weird, or you got to go
Come
into too many
on,
layers to like get to anything. But like at least I know what the fuck I'm looking at.
come on, guys!
You
I'm
know?
doing the Western devs criticizing Japanese games that are better meme.
Oh, it's definitely not a Japanese versus Western thing. I mean,
I know, but remember,
they both have
okay.
good and both have bad. I
You
mean,
guys don't know the
it's-
lore, do you? Okay.
I think Bayonetta 3s is pretty bad too. I've been playing.
You guys
that.
aren't caught up on
Not
the
like
Twitter
this.
lore. I get it.
I'm behind on
No,
it.
we're not. We're
there's
not.
Twitter
No,
lore.
no. Remember when like those like Horizon Zero Dawn devs were like criticizing all the different design aspects of Elden Ring, and then like all of Twitter
I
like
missed that.
harassed them
Oh
out
yeah,
of
yeah,
out
yeah.
of out of Hearth and Home. Like,
If you're gonna make your
Damn.
game an RPG, which this game certainly wants to do that, then you need to be better at that stuff. Because if you're gonna ask people to go into the menu to do important things, then it needs to be good, and it's not good.
For sure.
I think eventually we'll just get fucking used to it, but like, it shouldn't be bad in a game where everything is supposed to be 96 out of 100 on Metacritic or whatever the fuck.
You're right. You're right. Um, I do want to say that this game for me kind of had so I played this game. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I really did get deep into like the combat in the first game. Like I said, I ended up playing that first game for like 50 hours and got like super into like super obsessed with trying to like take out all the Valkyries. So like certain part of me loved the combat. But I play this game like 80% because I care about the story, which I never would have expected from a game like God of War, because I certainly didn't care much about it on the PS2 era in that generation of God of War games. So they did a pretty amazing thing, in my opinion, with that first game. They made me care about this character, and that trend continues here. But I will say this: it was a little slow going for me at first. Like I was obviously instantly kind of taken in by like the presentation because it's excellent. But like the narrative hooks, I think were much faster in God of War 2018. Like God of War 2018, like Baldur shows up at your door, and all of a sudden you have this crazy Dragon Ball Z.
But the same
Just
thing
like,
happened in this one.
You're right, and this is one of those situations, like, because the same kind of thing happens here with Thor showing up. You have the big throwdown with Thor,
Not
but
to mention
like
the opening scene is you
we're
being hunted by Freya.
but we're talking about they use very similar tricks. We're having diminishing returns here. So I'm playing 2018. I'm like, this is cool. Like obviously I'm still engaged, but like it was a little slower for me. And I was starting to wonder because like there was a part of me that was like playing this. And I was like, this is really good. This is obviously very good. I'm enjoying this, but like I'm already questioning if this is going to be able to like top God of War 2018 in my
I think I
in my
know what
mind.
it is. I think I know what it is. I think it's because like as you play, you meet all these like interesting characters and stuff, and like those first few hours, you spend so much time with Kratos, and I don't think Kratos is a very like interesting character. He's
Let
just
me
like
tell you
Mr.
this.
Stoic, quiet dude,
No. Let me tell you
and
this.
it gets tiring.
You're right. He is a very stoic character, but this game really leans hard into the kind of person that he wants to be for his son, and that drama that's playing out there,
Yeah.
and the things that he's doing and trying, and like because I don't think they did this very much in the first game. They actually make references to a lot of shit that happened in Greece
Oh yeah.
in this game.
Mhm.
And I don't think they did that much in the first game. And they talk a lot about his past. He acknowledges things in his past, and like that dichotomy of like, okay,
Like
this is
directly
clearly
this time, you mean?
yes, directly. They
Mhm.
make direct references in
Oh, yeah.
conversation to events that happened, characters that appeared, even bosses that he fought in like God of War 1 come up in conversation in this
But
game.
by comparison, Kratos is considerably open about his past in Greece in this sequel.
Which I'm not sure why they didn't do much of that in the first game, but they do it a lot
Well,
here,
he was-
and it's
The
That's not what
narrative
I'm
reasoning
trying-
for that was he was trying to bury his past and move on with his life.
right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm not trying to go down that rabbit hole here. You're right. Obviously, but what I am trying to allude to is that at some point in the story, and I can kind of pinpoint the moment that I'm obviously not going to spoil, but like a couple things happen, and this was like for me like 10, 12 hours into the game. There's a turning point, and suddenly this story went from like, okay, this is pretty good to holy shit, I'm in.
Mhm.
And it happened very quickly, and there was several new characters that are introduced, and I was like, I fucking love these characters like a lot, and I'm totally invested. And suddenly it was I kind of like went right back to how I felt playing most of God of War 2018. So
Yeah.
for those people who are maybe kind of on the fence or like not feeling it up front, or maybe just feeling this is not breaking enough ground, because that first game was pretty groundbreaking, I feel like. I know it's kind of cliche to be like, but like, give it some time, because that story really does start to become way more interesting about 10 hours in.
Yeah.
Which I hate to kind of, here's like the puzzles, I like the puzzles in this game just in terms of like, they're not overly complicated, and they don't usually keep me from getting to the stuff that I really want to get to.
Is there much variety there though, or is it always going to be like?
I think
find the
each
little
area-
blue
I think-
runes?
I think each area kind of I mean, they all the areas have those like blue rune puzzles, but then each area kind of has like
yeah.
a hook that's different that
That's
they
cool,
kind of
okay.
repeat periodically,
Like-
which is fine, whatever.
Like if you
Um,
remember Alfheim, the realm of the elves that you explored in the first game, the puzzles they had with like the membrane husks against the wall where you had to knock out all three of them at once, those are back, but there's a new element and capacity to those that make them actually a lot more fun to experience.
yeah, they do expand upon some of the base concepts from that first game. But
Like this entire game, a lot of the puzzles, it's save for the Nord chests that you find throughout the entire game. Every region feels like it has its own distinct feel to puzzles. As far as how you go about them and what you're supposed to do. Like again, Alfheim has the husks against the wall. There's more weapon and new item centric stuff that you find in other realms that are actually pretty fun to do.
I think the important thing here is that like it's not a puzzle game. It tries
it's
to like
not.
injects light puzzle elements for variety's sake, and to kind of break up the narrative and combat stuff, which is nice. The other aspect of this is, yes, it's come up a lot in Discord and in Twitter and stuff, but like, yes, there's an accessibility setting for this. Characters tend to not give you a lot of time to like really think about a puzzle before they start giving you the answers, which is really fucking annoying. You can tweak that. You can adjust it in the accessibility settings. I do encourage you to do that.
It's married to a option that extends the length of time you have for puzzles. So like
Yeah.
you can make it to where they don't chime in that quickly, but I think it also makes it so like the timed stuff like takes fucking forever, which is like
But there's
not
several levels.
necessarily also what I
Right.
wanted, but okay, I mean.
All right. So God of War-
Can I
God-
mention probably my favorite part of this game so far?
if it doesn't spoil
Sure.
anything,
It
by
doesn't
all
spoil
means.
anything. In fact, it's retrospective. I really fucking like how this game absolutely 100 respects the idea that Atreus and Kratos, after God of War 1, went out and did all the side content of the first game. Like they are constantly referencing big side events and characters that you really could have avoided and never interacted with as having happened, and them eventually did if you missed out in the first game.
Shit,
It's a
what
nice
if I
touch.
forgot all that stuff.
I mean, I don't think they do a pretty good job of kind of keeping if you really do feel lost. There's like I know you hate journal entries, Brad, but if you really do feel like you forgot something, there's almost always like a codex entry for that thing that brings you up to speed pretty quick.
Yeah.
So
But
like this, it would be fine. It would be easy enough to go into this game not having even touched God of War 2018. I would never recommend that. But I don't think anybody is going to be overly lost doing that if that's the case.
I really don't think you would appreciate the characters nearly as much if you hadn't played the first game.
And that's why I would never recommend it. But they do give you that recap at the beginning.
In that first game, so. But I just
All
don't
right.
really remember it.
Let's move on. God of War 2018 is a big game. We're all still playing it. Let's talk about it when we've all finished it and just give our final thoughts. But you know, I'm into it so far. I was
really fucking good.
It's
for sure.
It's pretty good.
Is it better than that rat game, Chris Davis?
It pulled me out of playing Bannerlord. Does that tell you something?
I don't know. You have not talked much about Bannerlord.
I'm stagnating on Bannerlord. I'm like too cool now in Bannerlord, so I don't know what to do anymore.
Well, like how many hours did it take you to get too cool in Bannerlord?
I don't know. I guess like 60.
That was sort of the problem.
That's a pretty good chunk.
I mean, I'm at a point now where basically what I have to do is go give a banner to my king, and then we go, all right, cool, let's just take over the whole world. And then once I do that, I win.
Do it.
So,
But you do have to take over the entire world.
Thrones,
you know, I was like having a little meltdown not meltdown, but I was having a little I'm never mind. This is go ahead. Just talk.
It's having a meltdown live right now.
Live.
No, I got to a point where it's like I've been conquering castles for so many hours that now I just want to build one. Like I don't want to be sieging castles anymore.
Is that why you were asking for games that have good?
Yeah, I just want to build a castle and manage it and no. But see, like if I was gonna play Minecraft, I'd play Valheim, and the problem with that is that like Valheim's a great game, but I don't have anyone that I'm playing it with, so it's just a very solitary, lonely experience. There's like no NPCs in Valheim. There's nothing.
I'd play Valheim with you, Crispy.
I know you would, but like you're not gonna play
Why not
Valheim
your
with me
children
at
and play
4 in the
Minecraft
morning.
with
Can we go to 3:30?
Tactics.
It's just not. It's just not. Yeah, it's just not.
Okay.
I feel you.
Real question. Real talk. Real quick. We're coming up on an hour. I want to know what game. Before we cut to break, let's get one more game in. But I don't know which one we want to do.
How about we can knock out Signalis pretty quick, since we already talked about that last week or the week before.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, I know.
Oh.
I wanted to. Most of what I wanted to talk about was Signalis. Because everything I said last week about Signalis still applies, or I guess this was 2 weeks ago now. I'm still not done with it, but I've also only been kind of playing it on my lunch break. It's a Steam Deck. It's very much a Steam Deck game for me. Still very good. This is the sci-fi Resident Evil style, like classic survival horror game. I just want to. This is more like a public service announcement, and I said this on Twitter because I this game does that thing where you hit a point in the story, some crazy shit kind of happens that doesn't make a lot of sense, and then fucking credits roll. And then it takes you back to the main menu, and it doesn't tell you, but if you hit new game again, the game just fucking continues, and more shit happens. So I just want to, and it's so nonchalant about it that I'm almost wondering if like anybody reviewing the game saw the credits rolled and was, because I saw somebody out there was like, the ending to this game is it was very obtuse and makes you think, and like it doesn't explain anything, and I was just like, that may still be true, but I'm starting to wonder if he hit credits and assumed it was over and didn't know there's like a whole fucking second part of the game that
Upside down
happened.
castle.
I mean, not really, but similar concept, I suppose. So
Seems like something that you probably would not miss if you were paying attention.
No, I was paying attention.
How did you
like,
know to click new game?
Because I was sitting here. So I was at work, right? And I booted up the game, I was on my lunch break. I played for like 10 minutes. There's this like really complicated puzzle thing that I've been spending a bunch of time on, and I finally got the last piece. And I unlocked this door, walked through it. This big elaborate cutscene played. It was really dramatic, and I was like, "Oh shit! I feel like the game is starting." And then like credits rolled, and I was like, "I have been playing it for about 10 hours, and I did hear, it's like sitting at like 13 hours or so on how long to beat." Whatever, and I was like, "Oh my god, is this the ending? Like, what the fuck?" And
But
I
is
watched
something happening in that story that would make sense that
It
you
seems
start
pretty
new
final.
game?
It seems pretty. No, it seems like pretty fucking final.
I don't believe you.
Dude, what? I've fucking played the game, Brad. You haven't. You don't even know what I'm talking about.
You would
What?
not hit new game
I,
if
I
it wasn't telegraphed.
This fucking guy.
this fucking guy. What the
Well,
hell makes you say that? Tell me right now what the
no,
fuck
I
makes
mean,
you say
look,
that.
I definitely find it intriguing. Like, I like when games do that, but I mean, if you're paying attention, it must be
No,
telegraphed.
no, it is. It is there is nothing telegraphed
So
from
you
about
hit
the
new
end.
game out of like a
I was like,
happenstance?
yes, I was like, is this it? Like that can't be it. But like, oh my god, I don't. Brad is gonna keep asking questions and make me seem like a fucking crazy person.
I
Or
mean, maybe.
this, like it was just telegraphed. It was not telegraphed. Anybody out there in chat can maybe back me up who's maybe played this game or something.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking about all the other games who've done stuff like that, and like it
The
usually
story in
is
this
like, oh,
game,
this is clever.
the
I
story in
get
this,
why
no.
thematically or in terms of the story why
Because
I
let me
would
tell you,
hit
the
new game
story
here.
in this game is very obtuse.
Oh,
Like
okay.
nothing in this story is telegraphed. Nothing. Like there's barely any dialogue. It doesn't expressly tell you what the plight is really. You are a replica like android that wakes up from cryosleep, and you're trying to find someone, and you don't even know what your relationship to that person is, or where you are, or what the nature of this solar system is, assuming you are in a soul. Like it just doesn't tell you fucking anything. And then you do all this elaborate shit, and it gives you these very, very, very cryptic cutscenes. And I was confused almost the entire time. It's just like one of those things that makes you go like, "What the fuck is happening?" Like I need to go read like essays about this game to see what the fuck they're talking about, or like. And I like shit like that. Like it's just one of those things where you're gonna play it, you're gonna experience it, and then you're gonna go, "What did that mean?" And I got to the end of this game, and I don't know how to talk. I don't know how to talk about this without telling you what the fuck happened.
Were you delightfully
But
It's not
entertained?
necessary. Yeah.
like credits roll, and all of a sudden I'm back on the main screen. I was like, so if I just hit start right now, that's it. I'm just replaying like New Game Plus or something. And I hit start, and like a new cutscene that I'd never seen before started playing, and what looked like the beginning of the game was starting. But then I realized there were things that were different about it, and I was like, okay, this is definitely new, because I was remembering how I first started the game, and it was just this. I was like, I can easily see people getting to this point and never having any idea this second part of the game even exists. So that's all I wanted to say. I'm really enjoying this game. It's a traditional survival horror game, very much in the same vein as Resident Evil. I obviously very much love that shit. It's very close to my heart. But if you finished it, if you saw credits and you didn't immediately start a new game, go back, because it's not over.
Top 10
That's all I
material?
wanted to say. That's all I want. I don't know. I haven't finished it. It's very obtuse, man. I don't know. I don't know. I really kind of want to see if it like I don't want it to be one of those things where it like explains everything, right? Because I feel like part of the appeal is kind of the just like I don't know of it all.
Yeah.
But I also want there to be something that I can kind of latch onto and point to and be like, that was the point, or that was that's what I was building towards or working towards, and I haven't quite got there yet. So I'm hoping there's something that comes up at the very end that'll do that for me. But I don't know. I should know by the time we record another show, so I'll let you know. But yeah, public service announcement: if you saw credits and you didn't keep going, keep fucking going, because it ain't over. I've been playing for like 2.5 hours now, past the credits. So it's not even like you boot up after the credits and you play for another 30 minutes and then you get the ending. It's like a whole big section. So go back. Okay. We have more games to talk about. But we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Somerville and Tactics Ogre Reborn and that other game that I can't remember the name of that Brad's not going to remind me because he's going to wait and see if I spelled it right in the overlay.
I don't think anyone's ever actually said it out loud, so I don't even know how to say it. But maybe we'll wait until next week for that one. Because
if that doesn't pique your curiosity, I don't know what to do for you. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about stuff when we come back. If you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. Yeah. Stay put. All right, welcome back.
Hey, did y'all hear that they're slated to have the new Avatar in like 2025 or something? Animated?
Wait, what?
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, yeah, about Aang, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like a follow up to because obviously Avatar: The Last Airbender, then Legend of Korra. This is going to be between those two.
Wait, are those the ones that are like Raya the Last Dragon? It's called.
No.
I saw Black Panther: Wakanda Forever on the other day.
Yeah.
So I know this is random, but no, this is the show. We're in it. This is it. This is the podcast. Pretty good movie, but so there's like a whole other tribe of people, right? Bad guys, and they're blue, and every time they're on screen, I was like, did we suddenly cross over? Am I watching Avatar now? I was so distracted.
You were watching Arrested Development.
Are you talking about
Tobias Funke?
Are you talking about Atlanteans?
He's talking about Namor.
Namor, whatever Namor's.
Yeah, isn't he like the king of?
I don't think they ever say it. I don't think they. No, they don't. They call it something else, not Atlantis in the movie.
Pretty sure they call it Eiffel 65.
It starts with a T. It's like Trebador or I forgot what it's called. But like, yeah, they're all blue people, and every time they're like having a big fight scene or whatever,
they're Gungans.
I'm like, I'm watching Avatar. It was Talokan. Yeah, I think that was it. Talokan. Sounds right.
Gungans.
Thank you, Prince of the Universe.
Did they have blue Corvettes?
No.
And everything was blue?
No. Don't do it, Nolan. Don't fucking do it. Anyways, welcome back to the show. I know this episode's a hot mess.
The scientific name for the merfolk of Atlantis in the Marvel Universe is Homo mermanus.
Really?
I believe it.
All I can think about is a merman, Dad.
Merman.
A merman. Holy shit. Okay. Sorry. Brad, I'm gonna turn it over to you. You have 2 games to talk about tonight. I'm gonna let you pick whichever one.
I'll probably just do Tactics Ogre. Reborn. Tactics Ogre Reborn. Y'all have heard of Tactics Ogre, right?
Mm-hmm. We've talked about it a fair amount, yes.
It's a Super Nintendo game. Super Famicom game, to be precise. And it's over
and
the
a
years
PSP game.
Well, yes, it received a remake on PSP many moons ago, at least a decade.
Let us cling together.
At this point. Let us cling together, yeah. And I was really stoked about that game back then because I really liked Tactics Ogre, but the original Tactics Ogre back on Super Nintendo, and later they ported it to PlayStation, is like a very simple game. It doesn't have all like the deep customization of Final Fantasy Tactics because it came out years before, but it's definitely like the spiritual predecessor. It's the blueprint for what became Final Fantasy Tactics. And then the PSP remake came out about 10 years ago, and that added a bunch of like customization. They kind of like took some ideas from like Final Fantasy Tactics, but really what they did is they added a bunch of customization to kind of make that game feel a little bit more modern and a lot of like quality of life stuff. Well, Tactics Ogre Reborn is sort of like a remake where they sort of remade a lot of the systems yet again, which is kind of like weird that it keeps happening to like such an old game.
Is the base of this Let Us Cling Together, and then they just change stuff on top of it?
Define base.
Well, I mean, they didn't
I
just
mean,
they didn't
no,
didn't
this is not
remake everything again separately, did
no,
they?
they did remake. So the thing about Let Us Cling Together is it was a remake in everything but its like visuals. So it's still like those original sprites and everything, but they like basically took all the systems in that game, threw them in the trash, and like completely remade them. They did that again. So it still looks like a Super Nintendo game, right? You know, with like maybe some more modern UI on top of it, but they like redid all those systems. Sometimes like they were like fixing mistakes. I mean, they basically had a new like idea for how you should play Tactics Ogre. And Let Us Cling Together on PSP, it was like very grindy. You know, they had all these like systems to like customize your characters and stuff, and they threw all that out and they simplified it. And the focus is not on making god units; it's more about like balance. Like it was very easy to break that game, I feel like. And I think what they wanted to do was to make it so you can't just make god units and like steamroll the game like you could in Final Fantasy Tactics. So they sort of simplified a lot of systems, or they changed them in ways to make things more balanced and a little more random. I feel like they wanted to take you out of the menu and have more of a focus on like what's going on in battle. So there's like less to tinker with in the menu, but at the same time, the game is way less grindy. So you're not. It's like if you get a low level unit and you want to get them up to like the max level, it's real easy to do that. I mean, in fact, it takes no time at all, and that's like absolutely not how it was in like previous Tactics Ogres games. You'd be like playing for hours and hours just to get like a low level unit up to like where he needs to be useful. Now it's about there's all these characters, all these classes, all these monsters. Recruit what you want. It's easy to get them up to max level, and the reason it's easy to get them up to max level is because they introduced a level cap in this game that is broken throughout the game by like story missions, right? So they want to make sure that you can't get over a certain point. And as soon as all your characters get up to a certain level, you just can't level up anymore until you get to like a major story battle. And then it says, all right, your level cap has gone up like 3 levels. Go grind a little bit. It doesn't really take a lot of time because, again, this game is more about sort of like keeping you in the battle. And a lot of people don't like that because they like grinding and making god units in this game, but you can't do that. The game doesn't let you do that. It wants it wants big story battles to be hard, and there's not much you can do to make them any easier. You got to figure it out on the battlefield. So like the series went from like a simple game that was almost like Fire Emblem-esque with a little bit of customization to like crazy customization fest like Final Fantasy Tactics style on the PSP, now to like a little bit more limited as to like what you can get away with in battle. And it's cool because it forces you to think about the game differently, a lot differently, especially versus like the PSP game. But I like that because it's hard on the battlefield. You know, it's I can't just make some crazy fucking character. Now there's still some like strong stuff, but the game is not it's trying to be a lot more balanced and it's trying to be more random. Let me give you an example. So like one of the new systems they added are these like cards that like they're like buff cards that spawn all over the battlefield at random times and random places, but like the cards are really powerful. They can like dramatically increase your crit hit rate. They can make you do more damage. They can increase the chance of your skill effects triggering. And that and they and the enemies can grab them. Bosses later in the game just like sort of come with them, and it forces you to be like, okay, do I want to go for that card, or do I want to go for this kill, or do I want to weaken this unit? It gives you more choices, and it kind of dynamically changes how the battle's playing on the fly. Instead of just going in with a plan and executing on that plan, now stuff is like, you know, stuff is happening. These cards are spawning between turns, and it's changing the battlefield, and it's changing the way you think about the battle, and that's cool.
You're having to
Because
adapt
yeah,
more
you're
than you
having to
would
adapt
before.
to situations because hey, this is level capped. This boss fight's hard, and now there's these random elements are popping up. The other random thing is that a lot of the skills that you would spend a lot of time grinding and equipping on characters are now like auto skills, meaning like for example, like for example, in the PSP version, your wizard character, your witch character would have a skill called like meditate, right? Where it's you go in the menu, you equip it on your character, and you have that skill, and it gives you like a little bit of MP every turn. Now that's like an auto skill where it sometimes triggers at the start of a turn, but it doesn't always trigger, right? If you go pick up one of these skill cards, you can actually increase the chance of these auto skills, triggering. But like these can be like really significant skills that can dramatically affect like the usefulness of a character. Like for example, the ninja has an ability called like like some sort of like focus, which will dramatically increase like the hit chance from like for like their really powerful status effects. But if that doesn't trigger, all of a sudden at the start of their turn, you're like, okay, I need to come up. That skill didn't pop, that skill didn't pop, and that skill didn't pop. I need to come up with a way to maximize this turn to make this character useful, because I can't rely on this character doing their god's abilities. So like everything's a little more random, a little more dynamic. You kind of have to sort of think on your feet. That's a very like Final Fantasy Tactics, the last Let Us Cling Together, is not like that at all. And because of that, I think some people are not vibing with this as much, but like it's such a new way to like play and approach this game that I'm just sort of appreciating it less as like the RPG, but and more as like the strategy, like the tactical game, if that makes sense.
Right. No, it does.
It's cool. I like it, and it's tough, and I'm getting addicted to this game all over again because I love these kinds of games, and I'm glad that like they took such an old game and did something wildly different with it again, because that doesn't really
It's kind of unheard
happen.
of.
It is kind of unheard of, and I understand why it might piss off fans of like say the PSP version or even like the older versions, but it's cool to take a game with like a really cool story and these really cool characters where you're making like these big choices, but have like the gameplay experience be completely different, and everything's rebalanced, and archers were broken before, and now they're like, a reasonable class and stuff. So you can't
Right.
rely on like past knowledge and past builds and past like bullshit. You just sort of have to, meet the game at its own terms. And it definitely is sort of achieving the goal of trying to be this much more balanced thing. And it's cool. I'm doing strategies that I've never done in this series before because I feel like, that's the only way I'm going to succeed. And I obviously can't see what's going on in this fight on this little screen, but I went to this battle with all these fucking dragons, and I'm like totally getting my ass kicked because my witch keeps missing her charm or her sleep spell, and just shit is hitting the fan. And then all of a sudden I get a few turns in a row where she's nailing those like her status effects, which didn't have like great percentages to hit, and the whole tide of the battle turned, right? And like I'm used to just like start of the fight, bring in my army, and I just steamroll until the battle's over. And I can't do that anymore, and that's cool. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's cool. I like it. Now I understand, it still looks like a Super Famicom game, and not everyone's
I think it
gonna
looks
vibe with
nice.
that. Well, it doesn't look that nice because this was like a 2D game, and like the battlefields are not as like 3D. Like in Final Fantasy Tactics, you can like rotate the camera, the map all the way around and like tilt it and stuff because it was built on like 3D, and this one wasn't. So you only have like sort of the one angle. I mean, you could switch to top down, but I mean, you're just viewing like a very static battlefield in like a very particular angle, and it's just not as interesting map design wise as it was in like Tactics or some of their later stuff. But they found ways to make the battles feel really dynamic anyways, and I really enjoy it. So I do recommend it if you're a fan of like strategy RPGs, Final Fantasy Tactics. I mean, the story is still really cool. You're still making crazy choices. If you like something like The Witcher 2, where depending on a choice you make, your entire 75% of the game is just completely different than what it would have been. I mean, like this game was doing that shit back
Was that
then,
a thing
and
in The
that's cool.
Witcher 2?
Yeah,
It's been a long
yeah.
time.
Like yeah, like a large portion of the game would be completely different depending on a choice you made at the end of Act 1 and then Act 2. And
Man, that makes me want to go back and play The Witcher 2. I don't remember that.
I mean,
Interesting.
sure.
It's
But yeah, so
It's
like
pretty-
I'm playing like a lawful path in this game, but it's kind of like it's such a fucked up route, because you basically are like, oh, the only way we're gonna win this war is to like, get people to like join this resistance. The only thing we're gonna be able to do this is if, we kill this, murder all the people in this village in our own, our own
Hell
village.
yeah.
and hope
Jesus.
The
hope that
Tywin Lannister strategy.
yeah, exactly. It was like a time with Lannister strategy, and like it failed miserably. And it's all about sort of like, if you go that route, it's all about picking up those pieces and going, let's just kill the
I
dude
mean,
that told us to do this.
It
Man,
is
you know what?
devastatingly effective.
A Song of Ice and Fire game that's like this kind of top-down.
Dude, Nick, don't even start this
Strategy
with
game.
me because
This is-
I've already had this breakdown this week. Okay.
Yeah. Like Matsuno's stuff.
That's too much. That's too
is
cool.
like Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre is very like a Song of Ice and Fire vibe. So if you like that sort of thing, you probably like gel with the story and the shit.
That's cool. It's cool. But like, imagine this, but like
fighting and backstabbing and
actual Lannisters.
Political. I mean, alliances people really don't want to make, but like they're kind of have no choice. And of course, this was a bad idea. We knew it was a bad idea, and guess what? This is a horrifying idea. And why did we do this? It's a lot of that stuff.
Cool. So how's the audio and voice acting?
Somebody in chat said something about the voice acting.
So they re-recorded all the music. It's all orchestral now, and it's fucking great music. And the voice acting's good. It's appropriate for this type of fantasy script.
I don't pretend to like be an expert about Tactics Ogre. Obviously, I've never played it, but it does strike me as like one of those games that's like I never thought I never would have thought they would put like a lot of effort into making a remake of it. And not only have they done that, they've done it twice.
They've done it twice, and they've never done that to Final Fantasy Tactics. And I want it so bad for Final Fantasy Tactics because all Tactics I ever got was like a lazy port to the PSP. They didn't
that is rumored, isn't it?
Remakes.
Yeah, it was on the NVIDIA leak.
Yeah, it's on the NVIDIA. Yeah, it was one of the NVIDIA leaks.
Yeah,
things, right?
it's on the NVIDIA leak, so I believe it's coming. But we'll see how much effort is actually, if this kind of effort is put into it. The weird thing about Tactics Ogre versus Final Fantasy Tactics is we see Final Fantasy as like obviously this IP that people love, right? It's very popular, but Tactics Ogre is sort of like the more like revered game in Japan. Like it's older, but it's also like when they do like the 50 greatest games of all time, the 20 greatest games of all time, 100 greatest games of all time, you always see like the original in Japan, the original Tactics Ogre always show up on those lists, and Final Fantasy Tactics it either doesn't or like it's like much higher up on the list. So like Tactics Ogre is like this very revered classic game, and I think that's why
it would make sense why it was prioritized over.
Yeah, that's why I think it gets the love from Square Enix and Matsuno. I mean, just like the last remake, they brought Matsuno back to kind of lead this remake, so it's cool. I like it. I like it a lot.
Sweet.
I have my copy sitting on my coffee table waiting to be installed.
Why you bought this? You're playing Bannerlord, now you're playing Tactics Ogre. Like,
he's moving in. He's moving in on your territory.
I appreciate
dude.
good video games, not just certain types of video games, Brad.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
He's a what do they call those? Polymath?
I don't.
I don't know. I got nothing.
But
maybe I should just know words before I start talking. Fuck.
Maybe.
So,
the good news I would tell you about
next week.
I mean, the good thing I'll tell you, Brad, is that the NPD numbers or the Japanese numbers, sales numbers for last week when the game came out, it debuted at number 2 against only Splatoon 3 did better than it, and Splatoon 3 is going bonkers right now, but essentially it did really fucking well.
I'm saying like this is a very like revered classic game in Japan, but only really in Japan.
Yeah.
So it seems kind of weird that FFT gets ignored and this doesn't. But
I mean, no, that's what I'm saying is that because it's doing so well, they probably are going to be willing to put more effort into the Final Fantasy Tactics remaster remake.
I mean, here's the other. It's pretty much all but confirmed that Final Fantasy Tactics remake of some sort is coming.
Yeah.
And I don't think they could put out a game like Tactics Ogre with this amount of effort and budget and everything, and then turn around with an IP like Final Fantasy and not put the same level of effort into it. I mean,
they would have
they
to do
could,
more.
but it'd be
They
a
would have to
mistake.
do more. The weird thing about this is it still has those old, SNES sprites.
Yeah.
Like I think if they were to remake Final Fantasy Tactics, they probably would maybe want to give it like a visual, like the visual look of this game is going to hurt sales worldwide at least. Like that is the worst part of this game is the way it looks. Because and not, but from an outsider's perspective, and especially if you don't know the history of the series, people don't know how much work went into, how much tinkering with the engine. They just see the body of the car or whatever the fuck analogy I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? Even though there's like a turbo in that car, like that's not what people see. And
It's
I
a
think that
sleeper
hurts sales,
car.
especially because this is a sleeper car. Yeah. So I think if they really want something like this to sell, they need to like do a completely new visual style.
Well,
And I hope Final Fantasy Tactics gets that, but I really want, I want to like them to really throw out everything with Final Fantasy Tactics as well, because they put a sequel's amount of work into the systems of these games, of this game twice now, and I kind of just want them to make a new sequel. As much as I like the story of the characters, I kind of just want them, Matsuno, to take that team and make a new Tactics game. Just fucking do it. I want it so bad.
How fucking sick would it be if they did a fucking Tactics Ogre raid series in Final Fantasy 14? That would be so
Move on. No, we're done.
Son of a bitch.
ruined. You've ruined
I can
the
talk
moment.
about Ast Libra next week if you like. I guess I don't know.
I mean, it's up to you. We're not really doing news or anything this week. So if you want to talk,
games do we have?
I wanted to talk about Somerville, which I played.
Oh, talk about Somerville.
I played all the way through Somerville last night.
Did you like it?
That like every sentence you mention Somerville is the part where you played all the way through, which makes it sound really short.
It is short. So I mean, I decided to sit down with the intention of finishing it last night because somebody told me it's like 2.5 hours long. It took me 4. It took me 4 hours to beat it.
Oh, you're kind of slow.
I'm slow, so fuck you. But no, it's not 2.5 hours. I think is selling it short. Literally.
Stop.
What?
I remember because I thought about it before. There is this has happened before in video games. What happened with Tactics Ogre? It was.
Oh my god! Can you pause the footage for a second, Chris Davis?
Oh, sorry. Well, how much footage do you have? It's the remake of Odin Sphere. Remember Odin Sphere got like that remake, but they maintained
Left Riser or something
style.
like that.
Yeah, Left Riser. They maintained the visual look of the game because back then that was like, I mean, it was the head turner. It was a very beautiful game. I mean, Vanillaware is good at making pretty,
Hell yeah, they are.
But they completely like removed that engine and like completely remade the way that game plays and characters interact. And it used to be this really like clunky, awkward game, and they made it to be one of the most fluid, satisfying action games I've ever played. And that's an example of a game that got a complete remake in all but visuals. And you don't see it often, but it did happen with Odin Sphere, which was cool.
I have never played Odin Sphere, but
Somerville.
I should. Sorry.
Back this is that game that everyone was hyped about because it was pretty and they heard it was related to the people who made Limbo. And so apparently it's not that great or something.
Sorry. Way to steal my... You are the... God damn it,
I was
Brad.
just summing up the talks. I'm just summing up the talk. Sorry.
Fucking killing me, Brad. Yes, this is the first game from Jump Ship Studios. It was a studio formed by one of the co-creators from Playdead, who was responsible for Limbo and Inside, broke off, and made a new studio.
By the way,
you would ask me that question. I don't know that I forgot the name. I don't have it in front of me. Maybe somebody in chat can look that up for me.
I'll look it up. I was curious.
But yeah, this is the first game. This was also the game, if you remember, it was announced like I think 2 or 3 years ago. I think at E3, and it was announced with a very brief trailer that very much looked like Inside meets War of the Worlds. very brief look at like a family kind of on a cliffside overlooking this like landscape, and there were alien ships kind of coming out of the clouds and stuff, and it looked very it had that like that instant appeal that people really latched onto, that I think, Inside it has a very unique visual style, like Inside did, that I think sucked people in, and this was kind of the same way. In fact, you can really look at this game, especially in the sequences where you're outside, and it feels very, very, very similar to Inside, just in terms of kind of like the kind of like smoothed out characters, like the muted color palette, lots of grays and like muted greens and stuff, and then it's kind of juxtaposed with moments of like really intense bright like lighting effects and stuff, which I think looks really, I think this game has a very very good visual style to it. But I don't know why I'm saying but. I played it through from start to finish because, like I said, somebody in Discord said pretty short. I was like, okay, cool. It's short, but I really wanted to play this, and let's knock out a 2022 game in a night. So that's what I did. I played it 4 hours last night. It is a game about a family that kind of is having a normal night at home, and they wake up and there's aliens invading, and suddenly they're on the run trying to escape. But what that original trailer doesn't really tell you, and what I was kind of curious about going into this, is like, mechanically, what is this game? I have no idea. At the very beginning of the game, this is only a minor spoiler because this is literally the setup. You come into contact with one of these alien creatures, you touch it, and all of a sudden you kind of absorb this power, you black out, and you wake up, and the game doesn't tell you anything. There is no UI in this game. There is no prompts. This is very much, and I think Inside, if I remember correctly, Inside was kind of this way as well.
Yeah, there was a little bit of guidance in Inside, but yeah, for the most part, not a whole lot.
Yeah, I would be willing to say this game has zero. If Inside had a little bit, this has none.
Thinking about it, I think it's been a while, but I want to say they tried to let you just kind of fail your way to success. So you would kind of do the wrong thing and kind of learn from there.
And it's kind of similar in this. There's fewer moments in this where I think you can just flat out die, but it is very much like suddenly you wake up in a room and you don't even know, like you have this power, right? They give you this power, but they don't tell you that you have this power. So you're just kind of walking around a room, touching things, trying to figure out what you can do, and hitting buttons and seeing what happens. And all of a sudden you tap a button and your hand starts to glow. And you're like, ooh, why is my hand glowing? What does this do? And then you start touching things while holding the button to see what happens. And then you eventually kind of pick up on how that it works. And kind of like the baseline mechanic is when you touch things that have an electrical current going through them, and you hold that button, you like send like a power surge through it, and like you create this like blue alien light that will destroy this, like, because there's like the aliens leave this like substance all over the things that they touch. It's like off of their ships are made of it. It's just like this like blue blocky kind of substance, and when you generate this power and you touch a light source and you shine on it, it eliminates it. It like dissolves it. So that's kind of what they kind of built like a lot of the puzzles around in this game. But you wake up, your family's gone. You don't. It seems like some time has passed since you blacked out, and you're just like, so you're like, you set out to try and find your family. Pretty simple setup, but it goes places. And I will say, I'm not sure. I haven't really been paying super close attention to kind of like what the general complaints are about this game. I think it has some performance issues a little bit. It's a little clunky or a little hitchy at times, which I thought was pretty surprising, even on PC. With a pretty decent graphics card, still hitchy. Especially when they're trying to do like cinematic like camera sweeps, you'll notice it like kind of like locks a little bit before it smoothly transitions, which is kind of annoying. And the character's a little clunky to control at times, especially when you don't have any control over the camera and it's just trying to keep everything feeling very cinematic, kind of in the same way that God of War does it, but on obviously a much smaller scale. and it's a little bit clunkier than that, so that can be kind of annoying. But outside of that, it's pure environmental puzzles, interacting with things. There's even an element of like you come across these little alien orb things that have lights, and at first it's like they follow you around, and sometimes they don't follow you, and then you're like, okay, well, why are they following me now versus the other time? And this is another example of like they don't tell you anything, but you can, if you pay attention to what you're doing when things happen, you can kind of like, oh, I think they react to this, and then you can kind of figure out how to manipulate them or communicate with them. And it's totally optional, but it kind of sets up, when you get to the end of the game, it kind of sets up like a new level of understanding for what happens. And what I will say, because I obviously don't want to spoil this, I do think a big point of contention with this game is going to be its ending. And I'm not even saying it's bad ending, but like, you remember how Inside goes pretty fucking crazy at the end?
It does,
This goes pretty fucking crazy too, but in a way that I think is going to be polarizing.
Okay.
And I do think if you take the time to kind of like really explore these environments and try to figure out kind of the visual language of the game, because it's very easy to kind of just breezily walk through this game and go from one kind of set piece to the other, and not pay attention to a lot of these like extraneous factors. If you take the time to kind of like pay attention, it gives you a different level of understanding when you get to that ending. So something to keep in mind. But what I do want to say is like they use this light mechanic in some really cool fucking ways. Like really cool. And you eventually get to the point where you have two powers and you're using those powers in conjunction, but it's all about manipulating this like alien substance in different ways. And to say much more than that would be spoiling it, but man, there's some cool puzzle solutions in this game that made me go, holy shit. I didn't like it's all like happening in real time with like physics and stuff, and it's one of those, it's kind of like trying to think of what would be a good example of this. But it's like, you say you have like a laser beam or something, and you're like dissolving the environment. It's all happening in real time with like crazy particle effects and shit. But beyond just kind of like the visual splendor of that, you're also having like real time effects on like physics in the environment around you, and you have to pay attention, because if you do the wrong thing, physics will kill you, or physics will prevent you from solving the puzzle. So you really have to kind of pay attention to how things are being impacted by your light source. And then of course there's just really cool like narrative set pieces that are really pretty to look at and just have like that just kind of force you to think outside the box to solve. And yeah, I don't know. I really, really enjoyed it. I am not ruling this out as like a game of the year not game of the year, but like, top 10 material. I think this is quite good. But I do think
I was gonna say, Brad, to answer your question about the connection to Inside Limbo, the executive producer is Dino Patti, who was the EP on Inside and was director of development on Limbo. But the actual
pretty sure it's Dino Patty, but okay.
Okay, whatever. But the design lead for the game is Keith Linares, and he actually worked at Supermassive on Until Dawn and Man of Medan.
That is unexpected. Didn't see that coming.
Yep.
I definitely feel the influence from Playdead more than I feel Supermassive here, because it takes a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I think it takes a lot of cues from design-wise from like something like Inside. But hey, I mean, it's I could see how those two creative minds could come together to make something like this, for sure. Really cool moments. If you like things like War of the Worlds, I think this is definitely has stuff for you, for sure.
So what are people not liking about this game?
I think the ending is
the ending.
It's weird, man. The ending is not at all what I was expecting. Like, it goes bananas. Like, and I think they were kind of going for the same level of like shock, not the same level of shock value that Inside has.
I don't think critics would have dumped on this game because of the ending, though. Well, I mean, I don't know anything about it. Maybe it does. Maybe he becomes a Nazi or something.
No, he does not become a Nazi. No. But let's just say it definitely takes a surprising left turn. Like it just like thematically, like because it seems very like kind of subdued and like it's, methodically paced narratively, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, and it hits you with like some crazy like set piece shit, and like I don't know how to describe it without spoiling it for you. But yeah, it's definitely.
I kind of just went. I don't think I'm gonna play this game. I kind of just want you to spoil it for me, but obviously not on the podcast. So.
I mean, like, so hold on. So Nick, you said it was like 4 hours.
Yeah, it's 4 hours. I did it in one sitting.
I mean, it's 4 hours. It's on Game Pass. I mean, that seems like pretty.
It seems like a strange thing to just write off, especially if you like something like Inside. I don't see.
I do like Inside a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you liked something like Inside, this and people in chat were watching
it's
you
just
play
because
this.
I don't have fucking any time to play anything right now.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Well, I mean, it's more that I just have a lot to play with little time, and I need to go back and start.
I will say this: if you're trying to decide how you want to use, okay. So, by the way, if you're watching the footage I'm doing right now, like this puzzle, I was like trying to wrap my head around it, and like you create this like orb of light around you, and it's melting this stuff that is then raising the water level. Because it's not ice, but it's like I don't know. It's still you liquefy this alien stuff, and it just falls down because it's like stuck in this like cavern above you, and it's falling down and filling the room with liquid. So you're like raising yourself up, but as it starts to raise up, you also start to like affect other things around it, and then rocks start caving in. So you have to like dodge that as you're trying to raise the water. It's cool, and I had to sit there and think about it for a second before I kind of figured out. And if you're watching right now, you can see like I'm trying to continue melting this stuff so I can raise the water level while also trying to avoid these rocks that are inevitably going to fall when that stuff melts. So like I don't know, it's super creative. It does some super creative stuff with the puzzles.
Good sound design.
Good sound design. I will say this: it has some technical, like I said, it has some. I was surprised at how kind of rough around the edges it was from a technical perspective. So maybe I hope they can kind of tighten that up over time if they're going to keep updating it. But yeah, I don't really know what people are knocking it for outside of that because it shares a lot of
technical stuff makes sense too,
but like it's nothing that I think would have like a huge impact on the way I like received the game. You know what I mean? Like,
sure. But you got Limbo and like Inside, especially. They're like the most like ridiculously like polished indie games ever.
They're
right?
pretty polished,
right? And this I wouldn't call this unpolished, but
yeah, but like I don't think there's an indie game on the planet more polished than Inside. That was like. It's ridiculous. That's what a 3-hour game that they spent, 6 years making. It's just
maybe
absurd.
it's an unfair comparison to be making. So I'm not really sure. Like I've seen reviews for this game that were very positive, and I've seen reviews that were pretty negative, and I'm not really sure. It might just literally come down to a personal taste thing, because like I said, the story is a major component of this game, and it pitches it very much as like man tries to find family amidst alien invasion. And it is that until it's not. And I think that turning point could...
He gets his voice back and he just has this... He's just cursing up a storm and he has this awful accent.
There's no dialogue. There is
zero
dialogue. Zero dialogue. But I was thinking, Brad, I was like, somebody should get Brad and get him to play the beginning of this game, which you probably should do just to see if maybe it sticks with you. But like the beginning of this game has there's a toddler involved. And it was like, yeah, don't worry, it's not like violence against toddlers or something, but it's like there's a moment where it's just like, oh my god, these parents fell asleep on the couch and their toddler is like awake and like walking around and getting into mischief, and I was just like, oh my god, this is like a parent's worst nightmare. But it's I don't know, it's I recommend it, man. It's cool. I do think that turning point that comes pretty late in the game might be a sticking point for some people, but I thought it was pretty wild. So Inside had one hell of a turning point in that game.
Yeah,
and I don't think this quite achieves that level of holy shit but I do think they were kind of going for the same effect. So maybe they're losing points for not achieving the same level of greatness in that effort. But also, Brad, if you look at the streamer now, swimming, it's got underwater swimming.
I mean, I see it. It looks kind of, like a play dead game, I guess. But
yeah,
I just don't know much about it.
The weird thing, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but the weird thing about it is they announced this thing like 3 years ago, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, that looks so cool," and then nothing, just quiet. And then like 2 weeks ago, they're like, "Oh, by the way, it's coming out on November 15th." What? Like, I had no expectation this was going to drop in 2022.
Yeah,
so
I didn't know it was coming out so soon.
Yeah, I was fully expecting 2023 or later, and suddenly, boom, it's out. So, but like I said, Game Pass, 4 hours long, cool story, really cool visual style, clever puzzles, clever mechanics, and no hand holding. So, and aliens, man, aliens are cool, right?
What? There's aliens?
You awake now, Crispy?
That's pretty cool.
Aliens. So yeah, do recommend. Any other? So that's it. That's it. Game wise, if we're not going to talk about your other game, Brad, we can. If anybody has any other quick mentions, I guess. And you're playing anything else, or is it all God of War all the time right now?
Dude, I fucking wish I was playing something else. I've been trying to find a game that I can just sit and play and listen to audiobooks and not have to pay attention to the story. Because God of War is not that. They don't
really not that.
Nope.
Shut up. They do not shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know what to tell you there. But Crispy, do you have Game Pass?
I got a good podcast game. You should play some Neon White.
Ooh.
That is not a good podcast.
No,
I don't think it is.
If you're just
pay
playing
attention
the same
so
level
much
over and over and over again, though.
I just need something that can occupy my hands and eyeballs while my ears are listening to something else.
It's called a penis, Crispy.
I'm not jerking
and
off.
On that note,
I'm not jerking off to a Clash of Kings audiobook. Okay, I like Roy Dotrice, but not that much.
That's not what you call jerking off? A Clash of Kings?
Clash of Kings. I call it a Storm of Swords.
Oh no!
Everything comes to a head.
Do you also call yourself Winter, Crispy?
Winter is coming.
Oh no! Oh my god!
House Baratheon, ours is the fury.
Feast of Crows.
Ooh, ouch!
Feast of Crows is just what I call my sex life.
I think we're winding down here. Okay, so let's wrap up with the 4-player minute. Fuck it, let's do it. I know it's very impressions heavy this week, but
no, for sure.
Yeah, hasn't been a ton of news. I feel like really going into depth on. So let's do it. Let's wrap it up.
My 4-player minute will be about Monster Hunter. Man, Capcom is doing some pretty gross stuff with Monster Hunter. With the last update and now with this one, they almost seem like vehicles for DLC. And it's the second time in a row where they've done layered weapon DLC where they're selling fancy looking weapons. They've never done that before. They've sold armor, they sold trinkets, they've sold all kinds of things, but now they're just selling weapon skins. But let me tell you, this new line of weapon skins, they're like stuffed plush weapons with stuffed plush monsters, and they're so fucking adorable, and you have to buy them. And it's so gross, and it's a horrible trend that Monster Hunter should not be headed in that direction. But my god, these weapons are so fucking cool looking. Oh,
they're weapons grade adorable.
It's just awful. You got to watch a little clip or a GIF or something. They show all 14 weapons, and my god, they're all based on different monsters, and they're like plush versions of those monsters. It's fucking, the greatsword is like a little plush Rathalos, and the fire coming out is like the blade of the sword. but they're like soft and plush, and oh, they look amazing. But like, no, Capcom, you stop it. This is it's horrible. People are mad because the DLC is like cooler than any of the shit in these updates now with these weapon skins, and it's like, don't do this, fucking don't do this. And at this point, everyone is just praying and hoping that like the next like world game or whatever's next isn't gonna be plagued with this shit. But like, it's hard to resist when the shit is this cool. But my God, we should not be buying this stuff because it is teaching them the wrong fucking lessons. And I hate that, but my God, these weapons are so cool looking.
Brad's totally gonna buy at least one of these
Oh
things.
my God! Like the hunting horn is a Tigrex. It's like a plush Tigrex, and the mouth goes ta 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 when it's like playing a song. It's adorbs. Damn it!
I even kind of want that. That sounds pretty cool. All right, Nolan.
Hey, yo, what up? It's me, your boy Nolan,
What's your
here with
final
my
thought?
4-player minute, my four-player final thought minute, which this week is entirely composed of fuck yous. All right, first fuck you this week is going to go to Pokemon Go. Fuck you. I've been waiting so long to get a goddamn Shadow Mewtwo. I worked my ass off to get one, and you give me one with 0 fucking stars. IVs are goddamn shit. It is horrible. Fuck you, Pokemon Go, for that. My second fuck you this week is going to go to Microsoft, a little company. I don't know if you've heard of them. There used to be this really cool company called SwiftKey.
Oh.
They created a keyboard for mobile devices. Really cool.
Yeah, I use SwiftKey.
Yeah, it's good, right? You like it? It's very good at auto filling, autocorrect, at suggestions, at knowing your past stuff. Swipe is really good on it. It has a dynamic keyboard that actually adjusts to, some people have fat fingers, some people don't tap on the keyboard, exactly in the center, and it will actually adjust your key size to fit your normal pattern. So it learns from mistakes as you would from the past and all this stuff. Microsoft bought them because it's such a good keyboard. And then they were like, hey, everyone on iOS, fuck you, we're removing it from iOS. So anyone who already has it can still use it, but the problem is it's been bugging out a lot lately and not really working. And I probably assume they're doing that shit on purpose and they're not updating it. And if I were to try to delete it, I can't re-download it. And it will, after you pull up a text message, and then after a couple of seconds, the keyboard like refreshes. And so all of a sudden, halfway through typing something, it like fucks me up. And so I can't use it anymore. I've had to switch to like a different keyboard, and I'm having a horrible time, and I fucking hate it, and it's miserable. Third fuck you this week, Marvel Snap. Really been enjoying that game, but goddamn, do they really put an emphasis on like the play to win, in the sense that you can't unlock new cards without like having without upgrading your current cards. And to upgrade them, you need, I don't remember the term they use, it's whatever that blue symbol is, essentially the blue money in the game, and the only way you can get that is by finishing challenges or by paying for it. And so I've been stuck with a bunch of like kind of cards that, because they unlock randomly, half of my cards don't synergize with each other. And so I have a bunch of cards that are basically useless because it's like, oh, this card really synergizes well with this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, which I don't have unlocked. So it's pointless. Very frustrating. Fourth fuck you this week is going to go to Game Freak. Pokemon Violet and Scarlet come out tomorrow. Everything is saying they run like shit on the Switch. Lots of pop-in.
Even docked, apparently.
Yeah. No, actually, it runs worse docked than handheld. Apparently, it runs better handheld. Lots of texture issues. Lots of quality of life stuff. The camera has issues. I've just heard all this stuff, and it's like the frustrating thing is, I could play Breath of the Wild, a game that came out literally 4 years ago, and it looks better than this game. And that it's infuriating. It's a completely open world game. like they're very similar in the style. Why does Game Freak have such a difficult time making a game that doesn't look bad or run well? Very frustrating. So that is my 4-player minute.
Damn.
Fucking Game Freak.
Mm-hmm.
All the money in the world, and they can't
do anything with it.
Product worth a shit.
Ugh. All right, Crispy.
Man, this week, man, just got a lot of thoughts.
Share those thoughts.
Share them.
I finished Batman, or not Batman, Gotham Knight.
How did that come out in the end?
It was okay. It's okay. I mean, I wouldn't say it necessarily stuck the landing, but it didn't completely
Fumble it.
biff it either. It was just kind of like, okay, sure. Yeah,
passion. That's passion right there.
And then going from that into God of War, I bought God of War, and it's like there are definitely parts of this game that are incredible and amazing, and like, wow, a lot of work and passion went into this, but like I am having such a hard time resonating with it, you know, and I'm having a lot of nights of just like I really want to play a game, but I cannot find a game that I don't know what kind of game I want to play because I don't know that it even exists. You know what I mean? That kind of thing, because I can't define it in my head. But you know what? That's just me. Yeah, that's just me struggling. No big deal. It comes in waves. Also thinking about
Rabbids game.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, maybe. Also thinking about Twitter.
Bitch.
I'm thinking about Twitter. Yeah, but Tactics Ogre has a story. I want to like pay attention to it. You know, like I want to play a game that I don't need to like digest story and dialogue.
Tactics. I mean, there's a lot of long battles where you can listen to shit.
Tactics Ogre is actually a game I want to play, and I think when I get paid again, I will buy it. This Twitter stuff, I've just been scrolling through Twitter most of the show, just keeping up with, you know, everyone
it's
kind
still
of
there?
Dancing around the flames, and it's insane. It's insane that this is happening. I mean, like on the one hand, like thousands to possibly millions of like careers and livelihoods and maybe even lives are on the line with this like this information infrastructure just like kind of going down over the weekend. And on the other hand, it's like, where am I going to find the most psychotic, idiotic, like maddening takes I've ever seen in my fucking life? Like how is this thing such a double-edged sword? Like, oh, what? Elon Musk is a completely confounding human being. I can't believe he exists. I can't believe that there are people who think that he is like the smartest man alive. And part of me is beginning to think, I don't know, maybe he is the smartest man alive, and that's just how fucked up our world is. Like, I don't fucking know what's gonna happen, guys. It's crazy. And then, yeah, I don't know.
It's the Wild West out there, and
it's fucking wild.
No, it's not. It's boring. I'm ready for him to do some Dr. Evil shit. Come on.
No, but like no, because like I don't know, because like the stuff that's fading into the background is like, oh, Russia accidentally hit Poland with a missile. Oh, actually turns out it was Ukraine. Like, what is that? Like, that is not as big a news as like Elon Musk firing a bunch of Twitter employees, which I don't. Oh.
It's okay, Crispy. We're all there with you.
I'm having fun, guys. I'm just plugging away. You know?
Yep.
Wow.
Nope, I feel you.
But
I'll
hey,
probably talk about Twitter as well.
At least everyone's announcing their 2024 presidential campaigns.
Oh no! Hey, you know what? Hey, you know what? Maybe without Twitter, that won't get nearly as bad as it did the last time.
I watched a comedy special by James A. Caster that he recorded in December of 2019, and it was about the majority of it was about the worst year of his life. And it's like at the end he kind of ends with this message of like, everything's better now. The only reason I'm talking about it is because I've processed all this and I'm ready to move forward with my life. And it's like, dude, in 3 months you're gonna be in March of 2020. Like, you know what I mean? like,
You already.
like.
You don't even know.
And then it makes you think. Oh wow, that was only 2.5 years ago. And
I feel you, Crispy.
Okay.
Ugh. Time, man. Time has. Oh God.
Yeah.
Woo.
It's been a rough 2.5 years,
Sorry,
huh?
didn't
Faux
mean to
show.
take the wind out of the sails.
No, it's all good. I'm probably gonna talk a little bit about Twitter in my 4-player minute as well. Before we do that, Chris Davis, what's your final thought for the week?
My final thoughts are I have two hypes and a poor one out. First off, today is evidently the 20th anniversary of Splinter Cell. And as part of that, Ubisoft provided an update about their remake of the game. They say it's still in prototyping and early production. So it's going to be a while, but I kind of like that fact because that means that they're actually not fucking rushing it. And they're also implying that they're laying a foundation for the rest of the franchise. So, hey, if that means more Splinter Cell games after this remake, I'm all for it. My second hype is for a game I learned about today. It's called Jump Light Odyssey. It looks pretty interesting. It is described as FTL meets RimWorld, in which you escape your planet being pursued by an enemy armada trying to get to a distant star. It's a lot of crew management and ship management. And honestly, it kind of looks like you can do ship internal building stuff like something out of Evil Genius or something like that. I don't know, it looks pretty cool. They've only released like a few a nice cinematic trailer and a few screenshots and GIFs of like just basic gameplay. I don't know. I'm kind of intrigued. I want to check it out, and it's coming out next year. Unfortunately, it's early access, but hey, I don't mind waiting. And my pour one out is, and I'm kind of surprised Crispy didn't mention it. I guess he decided to disappear, but we lost Kevin Conroy last Friday.
We did.
One of the greatest voice actors of the past.
I think you mentioned Crispy for that. I think that affects more than just Crispy here.
No, yeah, but
you did talk about Batman in his 4-player minute. It's
I mean,
it was adjacent.
Yeah,
sure.
But you're right. It is. I mean, I felt it, and I think everybody felt. I mean, Kevin Conroy was one of those people that was great at what.
Fuck! I can't believe I didn't even mention that. Yeah.
There we go.
To your point, to that, Crispy. So much has happened in the past week that it's understandable.
It's been a week.
Dude, he was 66. Yeah. It's like,
dude, right?
Come on, man. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah,
that sucks.
It's rough. But yeah, I'm totally with you there, Chris Davis. It was very sad to hear about that. But man, what I do love is that like everybody rallying behind it and like remembering him on Twitter. Like there were so many great like things that were just kind of passed around, like memories and videos and interviews and stuff that were all great to like listen to, things that I'd never seen before, that I never probably would have seen had not someone shared them on Twitter. It all comes back to Twitter. It's like one of those things, man.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'll just kind of roll right into my 4-player minute since now I'm talking about Twitter.
Go ahead.
Which my fuck you of the week goes to, I guess, Elon Musk, or I don't know. Twitter in general is such a weird thing, in that, it has absolutely been a detriment to many people's mental health, myself included. It's it's one of those things it's easy to get obsessed with and just dwell on like all the horrible shit that comes out of it. But I'm also thinking about a lot of the great shit that came out of it. A lot of the people in this community that I interact with regularly on Twitter, and I mentioned this during the break, but like that whole experience of me being able to go to the Dexter premiere in New York City only happened because of my enthusiasm I was putting out onto Twitter into the ether.
For sure.
And like, there's everybody. I feel like a lot of people have stories like that are only made possible because of something like Twitter. And obviously, for every great thing that happened on Twitter, there was like 10 bad things that happened on Twitter, and that's obviously awful. But it was also the way I found out about a lot of, like, even within the talking about the video game industry specifically, like, I got almost all of my news for the longest time from Twitter.
I would
80% of it from Jason Schreier and Debellion.
Yeah. Dude, for sure. I would add to that, Nick, that while 90% of Twitter was bullshit, I didn't read 99.9999% of Twitter. I followed the people I cared about. I got my news and information from them. I interacted with y'all. We had good memes. We chatted back and forth, certain things. It's one of those things where just because there was a bunch of bullshit out there, I rarely ventured into the replies to tweets, because yes, it was, just disastrous and vile and gross in there. But what I saw on the top, like you said, following Jason Schreier and a myriad of other people, there was a lot of good content on that site, and it sucks what's happened.
Yeah. And like Chris Davis mentioned earlier, I think we're gonna have. I mean, if Twitter really is on the way out, then we as a podcast, a group, are gonna have to kind of think of new ways to reach out and interact with people, which we probably should have been doing a long time ago anyways, but now it's kind of like more important than ever. So we're starting to have those conversations. It just sucks that we feel like we have to kind of do it now out of necessity because of this big man baby coming in here, swooping in, and I don't even know how to describe what the fuck he's doing, man. It's insane. Like, I never would have guessed it would have ended like this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, pouring one out for Twitter, I guess, but also maybe kind of excited about what that might mean for the world, for my own mental health, and something will fill the void. It's just kind of scary when that void is there and you don't know what's going to pick up the slack. And whatever comes next, if something does come next, I hope it's better.
There will be a next. There will be. There's a gap there that needs to be filled. The people will find a way. It may not be co-host, may not be master, may not be a dozen others that we can't even think of right now. But there'll be something.
We're all gonna have to communicate entirely with dance videos on TikTok.
I think the problem with that logic is, there will be something. Is yes, I'm sure there will be something, and I'm sure it will be the exact same as Twitter, 10-year buildup of content and history and platform. It's one of those things where things don't just pop up overnight. Is the problem, Chris?
Yeah, like
Twitter is not just going to magically.
Like Twitter took a long time to get to the point where it is now, and
believe me, also, I established my account in 2006. Believe me, I know. But like what I'm saying is that there will be something eventually.
Sure.
We're not losing out. We're losing out on a lot of great stuff for now. But it'll get back there eventually.
But also, like what Nolan and Crispy kind of alluded to earlier too, is like just like outside of like the cultural impact this is having, also just like holy shit, all the people that were working for Twitter who saw Elon coming and were probably like, oh, this is probably not going to be good, but damn, I don't think any of them saw it going this far this quickly.
Oh yeah, I understand.
So tons of people, like
tons of people
not hardcore people.
I need to quickly make a reference to our chat when we're casting live on Discord, on twitch.tv/4Player. Bog noise is very incorrect in chat. Vine did not die so that TikTok could be born. Vine is far superior to TikTok, in my opinion.
Was far superior to TikTok.
Correct.
But man, I don't want to have to make a dance video every time I want to get a thought out there, guys.
Yeah, that is.
The weird spaces of TikTok are like extra strength weird too. Like I don't even know if Twitter has depths that match just how fucking wild TikTok gets. Like,
It's good. Oh man, it's gonna be weird.
I don't know. I mean,
But,
everyone's on Twitter, I guess. So
yeah.
I
But
don't
anyways,
fucking know, man.
it's gonna be interesting. So that's it. Let's.
You know what I'm really concerned about is what's gonna happen to Drill. That's it. What's gonna happen to Drill?
Drill.
I think Drill already posted where he's going to go.
Yeah, I guess.
Who's
I don't know,
Drill?
the king of Twitter, the inventor of shitposting.
Basically,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I.
This fucking guy.
The only man in the world who was ever doxxed, and everybody went, "No, we're not going to look."
I just posted his link tree in chat.
Oh god, I don't.
Man.
Wonderful. Okay, guys, that's our show tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with us here at twitch.tv/4Player Podcast. We appreciate it. I'm not sure what we're doing next week. Next week is Thanksgiving. I don't know sure if we're going to end up recording a show or if it's going to be the week after, but we'll let everybody know. There's a calendar up on 4playernetwork.com. We'll update as soon as we know. Right now, I think we have something tentatively scheduled for the 23rd, which is next Wednesday. If we don't end up doing that, I'll update the calendar. So, again, this has never been more important because Twitter may not be a thing very soon. We have a website at 4playernetwork.com. Check that out. Bookmark it. You can find all of our shows there. I'm trying to get as much information up there as we can in regards to our recording schedule and our podcast release schedule and all that stuff. So make sure you bookmark that. But also join us in Discord. Discord is where the community's at. It's absolutely free. It's the best place you can come hang out. We're always in there. We're always active when we can be, and we're talking about anything and everything under the sun, nerding out about video games, movies, TV shows, technology, animals. We have a fucking pets channel, which is the most adorable thing I've ever seen. Come hang out. We'd love to have you. Discord.gg/4player.
And don't forget our YouTube channel. We post the weekly podcast episodes up on there. I do those.
Speaking of social media platforms fucking us with their algorithm, we have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Which we'd love to hear from you there. If you watch the videos, leave us a comment. I do check the comment sections. I feel like a lot of people who end up watching our show think we don't look at those comments, but I do, and we'll reply to them. Maybe even feature them on the show if you leave a comment. So we'd love to hear from you. But anyways, thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. We will catch you next time, whenever that is, whether it's next week or the week after, for another episode. In the meantime, be good to each other, play video games, and we'll see you next time. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.